This program tonight, we welcome you to a wonderful remembrance and reflection of a man who was the thread that lasted through all of the years. Every bluesman in St. Louis from the 20s through the 2000 knew Henry, appreciated him, learned from him, and is indebted to him. And I think this is a very wonderful program this evening. I remember Alonzo when he was a very tiny guy. He's going to tell you about Henry. And before that, though, the last program I played with Henry, there was a young man who came and played guitar with us, and you're going to hear him now. So, hope you enjoy the evening. Thank you so much for being here. I want to remember the great Henry Townsend. Please welcome Alonzo Townsend and the great Marquise Knox.
I'll take that. Me and great in the same sentence.
Enjoy it.
When I first got started off in the blues, I wanted to go way back down into the tradition. So when I started, I heard Muddy Water, and Muddy Water had a song like this. Well, I wish I was a catfish swimming in a deep blue sea. I have all you good-looking women fishing out to me, fishing out to me. Oh well. Well, I feel, yes, I feel, baby, like a low down, time ain't long. I'm gonna catch the first train, smoking and back down the road I'm going, back down the road I'm going. Oh well, oh well. It ain't none of my business. Honey, let you know it ain't right. Stay out all day long with your kid, man, then play tricks on your husband tonight. Tricks on your husband tonight. Oh well, oh well. Well, my mother, she told my father, just a little before I was born. She said, we got a boy child coming and he's gonna be sure enough a rolling stone. Sure enough a rolling stone. And then I said, well, I got to go a little deeper than that. And then I decided to go to Light and Hopkins. And Light and Hopkins had a song that go like this. Well, now, Miss Glory be, Miss Glory be, Miss Glory be. You know somebody been talking about poor me. Oh, Miss Glory be. You know somebody Somebody been talking about poor me. Well, if I done anybody wrong, well, you know I didn't intend to be. Well, you know I try to treat everybody right. My doorbell start ringing in the morning, and it rings all night. Something wrong, something wrong. But it don't be a thing that I've done. Well, now that's all right, that's all right. I'm by myself and son. And I said, well, that ain't deep enough. And so when I just started playing the guitar, and I got out and everybody got to know my name a little bit, they said, you better meet a man by the name of Henry Townsend. I said, they said, you better meet a man by the name of Henry Townsend. Alonzo, you want to help me?
Henry Townsend. That's who we're. That's what we're about tonight. Is a man that transitioned a lot of things. He has a lot of labels on a lot of things. He's been called a lot of things. Everyone knows him as the Mule. I know him as Dad. I got a lot of people here that know him as Grandpa and Uncle and dear friend. Yeah. Tonight, that's what we're here for. To reflect, to remember, to even bring to a head a lot of things that he helped mold, not only in music, but in life. A man that was able to live to 96 years old has had his starts in Shelby, Mississippi. In 1909, of all years, 1909, that's when this genius was born. And it took him not even 10 years to start that journey as a genius. And I say that because a lot of people know, some few, and you can even go to Wikipedia to start this journey. But at the age of 9, he started his life as a grown man. He was a prankster. I figured that out later on. But he started this out very early. He was a prankster. And one of those pranks is what started his destiny. He had a sugar cane, which was, I know the old souls know what the sugar cane is, but the long cane, 2 ends, just like a pipe. And he was playing with snuff with his cousin, and he blew snuff out that pipe right into his cousin's eyes. And his cousin went and whined. He went and told his dad and Grandpa, Alonzo Townsend. And from not only as the story goes, but as I ask questions, because the people that know me know I'm a pretty inquisitive guy. I come and I ask a lot of questions. Even when I was a kid, I used to bug a lot of you guys all the time. And I asked Dad about this. I said, so what put in your mind? So the first thing I want to say is, the first thing that would come to your mind if you hear, not year, not what decade, but the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear a 9-year-old running away from home. The first thing that comes to my mind is I have a daughter now, so the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm like, what the hell? A 9-year-old running away from home is unheard of. But this man started his journey at 9 years old. And not only did he run away from home, he jumped on a train that he did not know where it was going, to run away from an ass whooping that he knew was going to be unbearable. And I asked Dad about this. I said, well, was Grandpa, at this age, at this time I was at a young age, so I'm like, well, Grandpa, was he very abusive? Or I'm like, what was the purpose of running? Why did you run? And he said, that's one thing that I always stayed away from when people used to ask me that, son, was my father abusive? And my father was never abusive, but he was strict. And he didn't play no games. And I think back, I say, well, 1909, Mississippi, it's nothing in Mississippi. It still ain't nothing in Mississippi. What is in Mississippi? So it's hot, it's unbearable. So I understand that, especially back in that day and age, that being strict had a very thin line. And that connects to how we are today. A lot of people like Adrian Peterson, the running back, he whipped his son with a switch. Now see, and he got a lot of trouble for that. And in this day and age, I guess I can get it. But in that day and age, that is what my father experienced. That's what kept him in line. That's what he ran from. That's what he didn't want. So he jumped on that train and he went somewhere that he didn't even know where he was going. Just a 9-year-old kid, and that alone speaks volumes to me that where he ended was his destiny. But where he started, that train took him to Cairo, Illinois. A very, very famous place that is, and I call it famous because if you say Cairo, a lot of people connect my father right up immediately to Cairo, Illinois. But I remember going down there in 2002, and there's nothing in Cairo either. Nothing. I don't know how he made a song out of Cairo, but he made one, and that song alone actually, not only is it a great song, but it came in the top 20 of Riverfront Times, top 20 songs, top 20 St. Louis songs of all time.
Yes, sir.
Because not only of the way that he played it, but of the soul that he also spoke with it. So we're going to reflect on Cairo for a minute.
That's good, Alonzo.
Cairo's my baby's home. Cairo's my baby's home. I'm going back to Cairo, and I swear it won't be long. Women in Cairo, they're nice and kind as can be. Women in Cairo, they are nice and kind as can be. Won't be too long, they'll come take your rain off your feet. I guess that was Henry talking to us. Women in Cairo, they'll cut you or shoot you too. Women in Cairo, well, they'll cut you and shoot you too. Well, they'll find a lonesome graveyard. Oh man, they'll Women in Cairo, they're nice and kind as can be. Women in Cairo, they're nice and kind as can be. Won't be too long, they'll come take your rent off your feet. I'm going to Cairo. Cairo is my baby's home. Going to Cairo. Cairo is my baby's home. Going back to Cairo, and I swear it won't be long.
So, based off of that song, and based off of listening to that song, you can tell that it's a good time. He wrote that song out of a good time, out of a good feel. It had to be a lot of soul that was down in Cairo. Because as you hear that song, that is a great song. And the only person that I have heard to come close to play that tempo is Quick. Because I've heard Cairo be played a lot of times, and the way that I've heard it played, some people play it, the often way that I heard it played is kind of a slower mid-drift tempo. But when I used to listen to Dad play Cairo, man, them fingers was just going. I mean, like, man, those fingers were just going. And I did not understand how one man could illustrate a tempo with a guitar like that. That was unheard of to me, just listening and being not only his son, but just sitting back and just listening to that. And I listened to Marquise play it, and he played pretty up tempo. I don't understand how them fingers move. I don't know how they're not smoking, but he hit it. And that's what Cairo is about. So that's what I think. I felt from Cairo, it was nothing but good times. And when he left Cairo, he came to the very place that he would make his foundation at, and that is this city of St. Louis, Missouri. We have a great city. Let's give it up for our city one time. We do have a great city.
We do.
That started in 1920. When he was in Cairo, that's one thing that we're going to highlight right there. When he went to Cairo, that's where he picked up his very first craft, and that craft was the guitar. He learned the guitar from a gentleman that played around in Cairo, and then he met when he got there, and that journey is what started a revolution for him. Because that craft, and that's going to be the one thing that we share, is the one thing that he continued to beat in me is to find yourself a craft, no matter what it is. No matter what it is, find a craft that you love and that you're good at. And if you're not good at it, find a way to be the best at it. Be the absolute best hairdresser. They come to see you, the very best the very best cake maker. We got shows about cake making now. So, I mean, for real, Ace of Cakes, King Cakes, you know. So those people found a way to transition something that they're very good at. Because before then, we never heard of anyone doing a show like Ace of Cakes or anything like that, or having a show about making cakes. So that transcends into finding something that you're very good at and make sure that you use that until the day that you die. That's your first tool. The number one tool, the one thing about tools that he told me was to have a utility belt and find a tool for every different thing that you can do, because you never know when you might fall out. So that transitions into him when he got to St. Louis. One of his many things that he picked up when he first got to St. Louis, the first thing being a shoe shine boy. And the shoe shine part was an undercover for, at that time, it was prohibition, so it was an undercover for a juke joint. He was the lookout boy. He shined shoes, but he was a lookout boy. And they had barrels of booze down at the bottom, and he was the one that made sure that bottle of booze didn't get raided on by the police. So not only did he sue Shine, but he also was a debt collector, and he found a way to debt collect. And back then, when he was debt collecting, or when you was a debt collector back then, you went through any means necessary to get your debt back. Any means necessary to get your debt back. So I used to ask him, what was any means necessary? I mean, that's a 357 or a 45 Magnum. He used to tell me these things exactly from the mouth. It's 357, son. That's why the way they give it up then. They give it up. Give it up real quick. So, but when he got to St. Louis, that's when a lot of the journey went down the roller coaster. Because and the roller coaster in a good way, because that's when he went along and met people like St. Louis Jimmy and Walter Davis, a lot of people that helped him be a benefit to help him learning more things and continuing to be better at the craft that he chose, which was music. I mean, when he picked up piano, that was something that he helped learn from someone named Walter Davis. And Walter Davis was one of his closest friends. And I used to ask him about friendship. And friendship was, well, son, you'll be lucky if you have two good people that you in your entire life that you can call a true friend. All them other people are acquaintances. And he said, he stopped. And then he looked at me, he said, but I will tell you this. Some of those acquaintances will surprise you and they'll become your friends. And some of those friends will surprise you and they'll become your acquaintances. And I get it. So, you know, the 20s and getting to St. Louis was a good period for him. In 1929, this is also another bullet point for our story. In 1929, he made his first record for Paramount. It was Doctor, Oh Doctor, that song he remembered. Jacket Diamonds, Georgia Rub, he didn't. He was like, I don't remember that song. He didn't know about the title. He did not remember that song by the title until years later someone played it for him. And he said, yeah, okay, I do remember playing that song. And that's, I don't know if it was Dad that named it Jacket Diamonds, Georgia Rub, or if it was Paramount up in Grafton, Wisconsin, at the old Cheer Factories. That's where he made his first recording, and that happened because of Roosevelt Sykes, another legendary man, the Honey Dripper. And if you don't know Roosevelt Sykes, I suggest you go and you YouTube Roosevelt Sykes, because he's probably one of the most underrated, not only bluesmen, probably one of the underrated musicians of our time, especially in the blues genre. But he's probably one of the most underrated one of the underrated musicians of all time. And he told my dad, he said, come get in the car with me, they want to record you, they're gonna pay you some money. I think it was about $200-300, some chicken feed, if not that much. Because back then, you know, $50 was a lot to anybody in the 20s and the 30s going into the Great Depression era. And he said, they want to record you, and you know, they got it all set up. It's gonna be at a Cheer Factory. And so he jumped in the car. He said it took him about a day to get there. It took him a day. They drove straight up to Grafton, Wisconsin, cut the record, did them 2 songs, and drove back to St. Louis right when he got done. They practiced in the hotel room, went to the Cheer Factory, did the recording, jumped back in the car, came back to St. Louis. And that's where he hit the period, okay, so I did that, what am I gonna do now? Or what's next for me? So that's where we revisit where not only 1929 where he started, but he's coming back to a city that's in the Great Depression era. 1930, 1929, our president, we going through.
Oh yeah, Mr. Hoover. I'm gonna tell you, not to cut Alonzo off, but my uncle told me something about President Hoover. My uncle said, he called me Jimmy. He said, Jimmy, when President Hoover was running for president, he said, I put a car in every garage and beef on every table. And my uncle said the gas got so high they couldn't afford to ride the cars. They had to put the cars in the garage on block. And he said the meat got so high the farmers couldn't sell it, had to eat his own meat. So that was President Hoover.
That's Hoover. That's Hoover. And that's the man that was in charge during the era of the Great Depression. So my dad's coming back to a city where he's starting over again. Probably where he had this mindset with all my money gone. That song had to play into the part of that era. He said, son, I was scrabbling up every little dime I could get. And we had to find a way to do whatever we could to make ends meet. And all my money gone was something that played into exactly what that was. So with that, we're gonna reflect on all my money gone and take ourselves back to the Depression.
Well, now all my money gone. I don't have another dime in sight. Oh, all my money gone. I don't have another dime in sight. Well, now I got to do something, people, but you know that it just ain't right. Well, the world's in a tangle. Everybody sing the same old song. Whoa, the world is in a tangle. Everybody singing the same old song. Well, now I can't do nothing, 'cause right now all my money's gone. The other day came on TV, it verified just what I said. Other day come on TV, you know it verified what I said. Well, now here I am alone, oh, sitting in my bed. Don't have another dime in sight. All my money gone. I don't have another dime in sight. Well, you know I got to do something, but it hurts when you know that it ain't really right. But I'm down to my last dime. Well, now all my money's gone. Oh, I'm going out of my mind.
Now, originally, a lot of people didn't. A lot of our great blues lovers in here didn't know All My Money Gone is a piano piece originally, and it's a man in here that loves St. Louis blues piano music. He came from the East Coast to come to St. Louis because he loved people like my father and a lot of other great St. Louis piano players, so he wanted to get himself enriched in that history himself. So he came here. And his name is Ethan Lewin, and I wanted him to play that, but we got the piano in hibernation over in the corner, so hopefully we can bring it out of hibernation before the end of the night and we can hear some piano tunes, because you know how my dad twinkled those keys. But that's Ethan back there in the corner. I want to give him a shout out because, like I said, he moved, he picked himself up and came all the way to St. Louis, not because he wanted to, but because he loved St. Louis blues music and he wanted to get himself enriched. So I love you, brother, for continuing my father's legacy. Not only that, but just St. Louis blues in general. So hopefully we can get you up here before the end of the show. Hopefully that piano comes out. But we're gonna go back to another song, Jackie Diamond's Georgia Rub. Like I said, my dad did not remember that song until he heard it. So we're gonna revisit that song so you guys are familiar with Jackie Diamond's Georgia Rub.
Jack of Diamond, Queen of Spades. Come on, baby, change your evil way. When my mama never allowed me, stay out all night long. Well, she said, now, boy, women gonna do you wrong. Jack of Diamond, come to town, take my woman, dog me around. Oh, now tell me, mama, what more can I do? Well, I done got tired, Jack of Diamond, with you. Jack of Diamonds ain't no friend in me, just as evil as a man can be. Oh, now tell me, mama, what more can I do? Well, I done got tired fooling around with you. Well, now, come on, mama, change your ways. I can be, you know, woman, your slave. Well, now, mama, honey, change your ways. Well, I can't be, woman, I can't be your slave. Jack of Diamond, take me crying, got my woman and he's on a prowl. Oh, now tell me, mama, what more can I do? Well, I'll tell you, baby, Jack of Diamonds with you. Jack of Diamond, make me cry. Come get my woman, now he's all around. Oh, now my mama didn't allow me, stay out all night long. Well, now tell me, mama, why you do me wrong? Jack of Diamond, Queen of Spades. Come on now, woman, change your evil way. Well, my mama didn't allow me, stay out all night long. Well, now tell me, mama, why you doing me wrong? I done got time for you, Jack of Diamonds to you.
How can you not remember a song like that, Dad?
You know, when I met your father, he told me, he said, Marquise, any song that you like that I sing, he said, you better remember it or you better be recorded. He said, because I done got to the age now, he said, I make up so many songs, he said, that I don't remember them all. He said, I done made some songs and I don't even remember them. And I remember me and your dad being in the house, the together. You remember that trip we made to Kansas City?
I do.
And I was in school during that time. And I was a teenager, so we went up to Kansas City. We did the festival and come back home. And I was supposed to be going back to school that Monday and Tuesday. And Henry Townsend, he said, Miss Ruby, he called my mother, Miss Ruby, ain't that something? He said, let Marquise stay with me. And she said, oh, and she finally gave in. And y'all know that next night, me and Mr. Townsend, we was in there playing the guitar. He said, he called me Big Daddy. He said, Big Daddy. He said, you hungry? I said, yes, sir. He said, I got some pig ears back there.
I was just going to ask you, where did he offer? Because it either was cream of wheat, egg beaters, or something to do with pig.
He said, I got some pig ears back there. So we got those pig ears together and some mashed potatoes. And we got full, and we got to mess around. We did a song like this. When a man get full, oh, and his belly get real tight. Oh, when a man get full, and his belly get real tight. Well, it's hard to see something going wrong when you got everything going right. I'm gonna get up in the morning, I'm gonna do like Buddy Brown. I'm gonna eat my breakfast and oh, I'm gonna lay back down. You know it feel good when a man get nice and tight. Well, you can't tell him about no problem. Oh, and everything is going right. Hey, now, mama, tell me what you got shaking. Won't you get in my kitchen? Come on and cook my eggs and bacon. Oh, it feels so good when a man can get nice and tight. Everything going good, you see it's all right. I'm gonna lay back down. Oh, when you got your woman, man, she feeds you, get you nice and tight. Oh, you know it's hard to see your problem when you got everything going right. Come on, mama, you know I walk 1,000 yards. Woman, for your love, honey, don't you make me starve. Well, it feels so good. Yes, when you get nice and tight. Oh, when your woman feeds you, you know everything is all right.
That's really what you guys played together.
Something like that. You know, I can't really remember the words.
No, I believe it. I'm just saying he played with you about your belly getting full and a woman doing it. That's what I'm saying. And you had to be like 15 when this was going on. So
he did.
He groomed them for success. But now, after Jack of Diamonds, we're gonna get back towards the influential part of St. Louis. Because after Jack of Diamonds, like I said, he came to a point where he came back from doing a recording session and it's back to St. Louis. It's back to doing, figuring out what I'm going to do next. So he already picked up the trade of guitar and K-Roll. Started picking up the trade of piano when he got here to St. Louis when he met Walter Davis. Then in the 40s and the 50s came a unique period because everyone knows during that period we were in World War II. At that time they were drafting people left to right. You go, you suit up, boot up, go. So my father was one of those many that had to suit up and boot up and go. When he did that, he got enlisted and got fitted up and suited up and booted up. And at one point in North Carolina, he was in North Carolina, and before they shipped him out, they was having a little powwow with the general. And I remember this story so many times. And I'm going to get to the point, my favorite part of the story, but he sat in a room with everyone else, and they had a poster, just like this picture of Dad right here. Actually, probably was bigger. I think it was that, like the birthday poster over there. A Vietnamese, the Vietnamese, this guy, and he was in the war, and he was a Vietnamese guy, and he, Dad made this face. This is my favorite part of the story. And the poster was the guy you can't see my face, but it was like Dad would make this face and it would make me laugh every time because as handsome as a guy that Dad was, and anytime he strained his face, you'd be like, what the hell? Well, don't do that anymore. Don't do it. And he did it. He said they had the poster, he was grinning real hard. We hate America. And the general pointed to the poster and he said, this is your enemy. This is your enemy right here. And my dad, being the mule, being Henry Townsend, he said, that ain't my enemy. Or he muttered it, and the general heard him. What you say, soldier? Tell him. What you say? Well, and he would say this story this way every time. Well, if I can be honest with you, that ain't my enemy. Speak, soldier. Explain yourself. Well, this is my first time seeing him. I done seen you my whole life. And I gotta go in the back door to get something to eat or get a drink of water. General, you my enemy. And the general was bent down at him and he stood straight up when he said that. Repeat yourself, soldier. Yeah, I can't get a job and they don't treat us fair. They don't treat me fair. And I gotta scrounge and scrape and scrape up for everything I get. You guys don't give me no handouts. He ain't did nothing to me yet. So I can't say nothing about him. But you, I know. At ease. The next day, they shipped him out of here. He gotta go. He poisoning the troop. He tripping. He gotta go. So he went back, but not without an honorable discharge. They gave him an honorable discharge. And let's repeat this. This is back in the 40s. This is World War II. They gave this man an honorable discharge for speaking his mind. For speaking his mind and giving his true thoughts. And anyone that's in the service, my brother from another mother, Lester, is in here somewhere, and he just came back from Afghanistan in December, right before Christmas. He just came back from doing a tour. And any soldier knows how hard it is to get any type of honorable discharge without being in the battlefield. And I know Lester in here. I want to say I'm glad that you're in here. I'm glad you're back, man. I'm very happy that you're back, and thank you for your service. But so he came back to St. Louis after that, got an honorable discharge. I know he feel he's riding on cloud nine. He's like, yeah. That brought him right back down. So real quick before we get into this part, I'm gonna say that all of my Walking Dead fans, I promise to get you out on time because I'm a fan too. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because we're finna go down a little bit. And for all the people that missed the Grammys, thank you for coming because to spend time with an actual Grammy winner, my father. So thank you guys for coming out. we're going to go down a little bit. And the reason I say we're going to go down is because I want to connect to what we're going through, or what we went through a couple of months ago to my father. And I want to do that because I want everyone to know that it's hope. And what I'm referring to is the whole, they call it Ferguson. I hate calling it Ferguson because it's St. Louis, we're all together. So I hate when they call it Ferguson. But with Michael Brown and the whole thing, it was a heart-wrenching thing. And the thing that I want to bring attention to is the one fact that we're all human beings, and no human being should have the power to take anyone's life away. That's the first and foremost. No human being, it doesn't matter the color, we're not talking about color, no human being should have that power. When my father got back from the military, he was accused, he was walking down here downtown, he was accused, listen, keep your ears open real quick, he was accused of trying to steal the clock out of Union Station in the tower, the one that's still there right now, the really big one is huge, like you probably would take a crane to take it out. They locked him up for trying to steal the clock out of Union Station. And it was one man, he was a police officer, and his name was Charlie O'Brien. He was a sergeant. And when he came through and he had seen my dad around, I asked my dad about this, and he said, yeah, he's seen me around. He said, I was just playing on corners, and he seen me all through the city. He said, one thing about his son, no matter, if you don't think the police see you, they see you. Especially when you're doing something good. Let me keep my eye on him. He played the guitar real good. He might try to start some muck. So Charlie O'Brien had to do with my dad. He wasn't a profound, he was known in the city for being pretty good, but he wasn't there yet. I mean, this was still past the 40s and 50s, so he wasn't there yet in the upper echelon. But Charlie O'Brien, like I said, please know who you are. So he said, yeah, Charlie knew me. But he came by and he seen my dad in their cell, and he asked the police officer, he said, what you got, he didn't even say my dad's name. He said, what you got him in there for? Oh yeah, we booked him on trying to steal the clock while at Union Station, and he laughed. My dad told me, he said, Charlie laughed, he laughed at Charlie. Like, you know, we got him, we got one more, ha. So he said, yeah, I locked him up for trying to steal the clock out the clock tower. When Charlie Brown looked at me, he said, look, open that cell up, let him get him out of here. And he looked at him, what you mean, sir? You heard what I said, get him out of here. So that's one thing that I want to explain, that we should have respect for authority. I get that, and I believe it because of people like Charlie O'Brien. There are some really good law enforcement out here that do it not only because they want to, but they do it because it's their right to make sure that we're protected in that sort of form. And to have someone like Charlie O'Brien in the 50s and 60s, 40, 50, and 60s, to have someone like Charlie O'Brien be there for my father and get him through that, something that would have followed him his entire life, that speaks volumes. So not only do we have to remember who we are and what we fight for, because my father would tell me that all the time too. He said, son, when you get stopped by police, he tell you, get on out of here, boy. Don't run. And if he say, run, get on out of here, hurry up, get out of here. Take your time and walk away. Because you were put on this earth to have that right to walk away. And at the same time, they were here to give us that right to live freely and protect us. So with that, we have to understand that there are barriers for us. There are barriers for people that come from different sorts and different ways, but as long as we remember that we all have the same blood, and we all got the same, we're made of the same mud of this earth, then we're gonna be okay. So we're getting to a point where it was hard for Dad. Like I said, he just got out of jail, and he's picking up debt collecting. It used to be, the building's still there, it's on Grand. It used to be called Independence Merchants Corporation, right before you get to Veterans Hospital. So I remember going in there with Dad before, and they used to look and see him, and they'd be like, oh, Henry, what's going on? There's a lady, old white lady, her name was Ira. And there was another gentleman, a little white guy, and they loved Dad. Man, they were so happy to see him every time he used to come in there. This was past his, like I said, I was around, so this is way past his debt collector days. The place is closed now. But those are things, he picked up refrigeration too. And I asked him, why'd you pick up refrigeration? He said, well, it was something to do. He said, what if my music, they got tired of my music, son? Then I would figure I would do that. And if they got tired of me for doing the AC, then I would go back to debt collecting. And if they got tired of me coming to my door with my 45, then I don't know what I'll do. But I want to make sure I keep all these different tools in my utility belt. And I got that. So, you always try to make sure you have something to fall back on and have something to fall back on after that. And I think that the song Rocks Under My Pillow that my father also made and he recorded, he wrote, was a reflection of this period because it was a hard time, very hard time. And he was scrapping up anything he could do and doing every little odd job. So we're going to reflect on doing what it takes to survive. Let's think about doing whatever it takes to survive while we listen to Rocks Under My Pillow.
Well, the rock in my pillow ever since I was born. Well, the rock in my pillow ever since I was born. Well, I've been bad, oh baby, but I ain't gone. Well, I started to leave, but I decided to stay. Well, I started to leave, but I decided to stay. Well, if I had a little, I've been so far away. When you had me, baby, you didn't want me now. When you had me, baby, you didn't want me now. Well, now you a bad lover, don't need no man, no how. Well, when I come back, I may never stay. Well, if I come back, girl, I may never stay. Well, now if I come to your town, your friends would have to say. Well, the rock's been my pillow ever since I was born. Well, the rock's been my pillow ever since I was born. Well, now come on, pretty baby, don't drive me from home. Well, the rock's been my pillow ever since I was born. Well, the rock's been my pillow ever since I was born. Well, now come on, pretty baby, don't drive me away from home.
A lot of these songs, I'm majority, I would not take that away from my brother here. A lot of these songs he does know. Some of these songs, like Rocks on My Pillow, or Rocks Under My Pillow, he listened to during these transition weeks as we put this show together. He listened to these as we put these shows together. And he learned these songs in that transition period. Like I said, Rocks Under My Pillow was one of those songs. And again, what I want to reflect on that is he listened to these songs right from Dad's, right from the actual album. And he took these in a matter of weeks and made it his own. Not his own, but he plays them exactly like what he heard. So I gotta give some more love for that.
Thank you, brother.
Now we're in the same time frame. So we're in the 40s, we're in the 50s, we're in the 60s, we're in the 70s. We're in this period right now where during this period, Dad had some downtime where he wasn't playing regularly. And then there was also a transition where a lot of people know during the 70s and 80s, we're not going to get to the 80s yet, but towards the 70s and 80s, it was an influx in the blues genre again. It was reborn, so to speak. Europe had went crazy with the blues genre, and people like Muddy Water and my dad and all these guys was going over to Europe and revitalizing their careers. Also during this time, my dad, he was married once, in the early days, in like the 30s and 40s. The marriage that he had until my mom passed. Well, I'm going to say until he passed, but until Mom passed, the long standing during this period was my mom, Henry Townsend, who is also in her own right. If you also go online and YouTube, and you'll find it, because I did myself personally, and Google. She's also in her own right. Started out as a gospel singer, but also when she met my dad, transitioned into blues. So she also, in her own right, is a very credible musician herself. So she met Vernell Perry, but turned into Vernell Townsend. And a lot of people know my mom as being the rock underneath the, I want to say the middle of the concrete. She was very stern. Unwavered. You couldn't unwaver. And I think those qualities is what brought them together. So she used to work in Miss Llewellyn's kitchen during this time, and when she was working in Miss Llewellyn's, a lot of the older souls know Miss Llewellyn's. That's when he met my mom, and he was playing music. And I remember asking Mom, of course, as kids, hey, how you guys meet? So what you like about Dad? What made you guys like each other? And one of those things was, well, he played music. And back in those days, that's what got women. If you knew how to play guitar, you knew how to dance, or if you was a big wig, you got your woman. You know, so and that's one of the things that hooked my mom to my dad. So when they started performing, he brought her right in. He knew that she sung, and they performed together a lot. A lot of songs are classics that I'm not going to touch yet because that's coming. But I think he also made a song called World Full of People. And well, I don't think he made the song World Full of People, but I think the reason why he made it. And a part of that reason is a part that I asked about, and I said, what was it behind? Not all the songs I was really interested in. Everyone knows when I was a kid, I was pretty rambunctious. I didn't sit still, and I loved wrestling. So I would try to powerbomb you. I was not trying to listen to blues. I was trying to clothesline you. So, but he would take me all over. He would take me everywhere. And I was selling CDs, selling shirts. I was reading contracts. I was writing checks when I was 8 years old. I didn't get it. I get it now, of course, but at that time I was like, what are we doing? And I would go into Snooks and stuff and be writing checks for that. Like, as soon as they get done with the ringing out, they'll ring everything out, and then the lady tell him the balance, and she's looking right at him, and then he'll pull out the checkbook. All right, so and go. And I used to be put on the spot. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I gotta do it again for him. I gotta do it again. And they would be mystified though. Some of the cashiers would be like, look at this little dude finna write a check out. He's doing everything but signing it. Oh my God. What did you teach him? How did you teach him that? So I would write checks off of Dad all the time. So, but I would also ask him about this world full of people that's coming up, and I would ask, how did that come about? And he said, well, when I met your mom, he said a little bit of that thought had to do with it because I had already encountered a lot of people in my life, and I could kind of, and like I said, I was married once, son, and I gave up on that thing right then and there. He like, but I met Vernell, and she got me, and I felt like out of a world full of people, she was the one that got me, that understood what I wanted to do and who I was, and right there I got it. So we're gonna reflect on a world full of people and think about, out of all the world full of people that you've encountered throughout your entire life, that one person that ignites who you are. World full of people.
Well, it's a world full of people. People I just can't see. Well, it's a world full of people. People I just can't see. Well, now it's a world full of people. And oh, it's so lonely me. Well, the world is big. Man is going round and round. Well, now the world, yes, it's big. Man is going round and round. Well, now here I am now, baby. Now only your love can be found. Well, it's a world full of people. People that I just can't see. Well, it's a world full of people. People I just can't see. Well, now it's billions and billions of people. And oh, yes, it's so lonely. When the man see me coming, man, you know he treats me awful wrong. When your man see me coming, you know he treats me awful wrong. Well, now you tell me, man, won't you leave my baby alone? it's a world full of people. Oh man, yes, it's so lonely me.
This came along the way. And in 1983, he was talking about a magazine at that time was probably one of the top 5 magazines in the world. Music Unlimited magazine called him a genius of an artist. The NEA, the National Education of the Arts, presented him with an award for being a master artist. So in the 80s, a lot of things were reborn for him. Also came my favorite year because it came me too. I was 87. I was born in 1987. So I was giving him that year. But I'm going to open. This show is all about everything that my father was. Everything. So we're going to open up a plateau that a lot of people don't know. And me, myself, I was adopted by my father. I was adopted at a very, very, very young age. I was still an infant, a matter of months, actually. That will answer a lot of questions to a lot of people because my father, it was not that he was ashamed of it. I definitely know that. But he would always tell me, I really don't reflect on you being adopted, son, because I had you since your booty was raw. He used to say that in front of people all the time. Like, you should have seen him, man. He was so small. I used to put him on the little couch, the little couch pillows. I used to put him on a couch pillow. I could carry him around, me and Vernell. And he had a raw little pink booty. His booty was so raw. I don't know. He used to say this all the time. Oh, God, man. Jesus. But my mother, my birth mother at the time was a victim of drug abuse, which I want to say I know my mom now. She's doing very, very well. Very well. But she was a victim of drug abuse, and my father knew that. And like I said, I was very young. I was a matter of months. I wasn't even 1 year. So he would always say, "You're not adopted to me, son." And my birth certificate, if we go down to City Hall, my birth certificate says Henry Townsend and Vernell Townsend, because that's all I've had my entire life. I've been around my entire family from all sides, and we're all united as one. That's my feeling, and that's how I grew up my entire life. I got nieces in here that's older than me that I call my sisters because they loved me and they dealt with me like I was their own little brother because of what my father and my mom did and making me their son. So I'm a Townsend through and through, and that's what my dad used to tell me all the time. He'd say, I wouldn't bring it up. And if people ask or they know their business, I'll tell them that's my son because you are my son. And I'm the only father you've had, and you're the only son I've had. And I did this because I've always wanted a son. My dad had a daughter already, Deborah, when he was away during the war. He said, I wanted a son because I wanted to continue the legacy. I wanted someone to be able to continue my legacy. Hence, here I am. Got close for a little while. Got real close. I didn't make it almost. But that's where that came from. He said, I wanted a son to be able to continue my legacy. And like I said, I was a little antsy when I was a kid, so I didn't pick up guitar. I played a little piano. I know alto sax, everyone knows that, but I played a little piano, but nothing major. And my dad used to tell me that all the time. He's like, son, I don't care if you can't play like me. I don't care if you're good as me. I don't care if you suck. He said, find you something to pick up and be good at it. And whatever it is, be good at it. And I don't care what it is. I support whatever it is. Just find you something and be good at it. So, that helped out a lot. And having that bridge and having that foundation as a father and as a mother to do that for me because I'm reminded every day that I could have been in a lot worse situations. I could have definitely been in a lot worse situations. And I believe in destiny, and I think that I was chosen to be his son for a reason. Like I said, I could have been in a lot worse situation. So that's a part of the man that a lot of you guys probably don't know, because only few know that situation. It's not a secret, but only few really knew that. But like I said, it was never a secret. It was just because that's how he felt, and that's how I felt. And I feel like if you poke my blood and we do a blood test, I'm gonna tell you it's gonna be a lie all the way, because I'm gonna sit here and say I'm a Townsend, because that's all I've known. Crazy. I love you too. And that's what I mean. This right there, I'm blessed. I'm rich. Without any money value, I'm very rich because I have not only this legacy, but I have a lot of you guys that have known me since that day, since I was like that has been there for me. And I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for the sacrifice that my mom and my dad made. So, that's what we're here about. That's why we're here. So, like I said, the 80s was a great year. I was here. I was giving a dad, so he had a whole nother attitude to take care of. He had to be a parent now to a baby, to an infant. He had to be a parent. He had to be a dad. So now we're going into the 90s. Me growing up and doing certain things. But before we get into the 90s, we want to go to a song that I think sums up probably the whole 80s period, from being a master genius to being a master artist, to being a genius of a musician, to being a dad.
Well, if it wasn't for the blues, oh, tell me what would I be? Oh, if it wasn't for the blues, somebody tell me what would I be? Well, I could have been someone now, people, a heart full of misery. The blues have been the only friend of mine. I said the blues have been the only friend of mine. Well, now in the late old evening, the blues let me rest my eyes. When I look down the road I come from, I don't know how I make it, because it's a sure been a hard night. Look down the road where I come from. Well, I don't know how I made it, but man, it sure was hard. I woke up in the morning, blue 4 different ways. Coming on to your home, honey, set me the day. Well, I woke up in the morning, I had the blows 4 different ways. Well, now I'm coming to your home, baby. Why don't you accept me today?
So now we get into the 90s, and we get into a transition period. At this time, my dad's pushing past 80 years old, a long way away from 9 years old, jumping on that train by himself, going, not knowing where he was going. So we get into the 90s, and the 90s is a transition, like I said, of him being a parent and him embarking on. I think the 90s probably had to be more scary than being into the 2000s for Dad. Seriously, because it's like the 90s. You know, we're coming into a fusion of NWA and Ice Cube and Tupac, and that's what ruled the 90s, really. That transition ruled the 90s. And a lot of musicians, not even just Dad, but with rock and all that, they had to figure out how to keep themselves relevant in that period and not fall victim to hip-hop. Hip-hop. Fall victim to hip-hop. How does that sound? Fall victim to hip-hop. And I didn't first hear Tupac until I had to be like 10 or 11 years old. And that is customary to my mom and my dad didn't like hip-hop in the household because during the early 90s, like I said, it was controlled by NWA, and they were always talking about fuck the police and all that type of stuff, you know, F the police. So, you know, it was a transition. My mom and my dad wasn't with that at all. You know, they didn't believe in that whole era. They believed in the music, but they didn't believe in the words that we use along that way.
I bet you believe in that switch too.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I've ran from many switches. I'm talking about Adrian Peterson again. I don't get that, because I've had switches in the hangers, fists. It's not irregular. There's nothing wrong with it. But also, you know, he's also continued being an artist. Like, he was in his heyday with Allen Avenue when that place was around, back down in Soulard. And like, he played regularly there. His birthday party actually started there until coming to BB's, until the birthday party started at BB's. And you know, this place has been around, really, I tell people all the time, 79. Even though it was 3 different incarnations, I say this BB's intuition started in 79 and it's still going strong today. It wasn't no gaps. I don't get gaps. And a lot of people that come to BB's, they see it as, man, it used to just be, man, it used to be a Mississippi juke joint. It looked just like it. And now we got 2 floors, and I mean, it's beautiful in there. It's like a museum, and you can sit down and eat, and no one's doing that anymore. So I can understand why he believed in this place. Not only believed in this place, but believed in a man that I call my uncle all the time, Marco Shaughnessy, who's in here somewhere. I want to really, we're going to do that one more time, because I want him to understand the appreciation that we have for him, and he started this place. So, real quick, Mark, I know you're here somewhere.
Thank you, Mark.
Dad would bring Roosevelt and all his friends here and played, and that's how this place got the steam rolling. And I don't think he would have did that if he really truly didn't believe. And not only the man that Mark, you know what? I think of course, he would do it for someone like Mark. Because the story about Mark is, my dad went and played up in Buffalo, New York, in the late '80s, and it was him and my mom. It was before I was born, but it was him and my mom and Mark, and it was a blizzard. It was like one of the biggest blizzards of all time. And like 10, 11 feet of snow. It was crazy. I remember Dad used to tell me the story all the time. And when they got there, they made it there. When they got to the hotel, everything in the whole town was closed. It was a gridlock. And the snow had everything shut down. The closest thing was probably like 6 or maybe, I want to say 6 or 7, but I think it was like maybe 10, but miles away. And there was one gas station that was open. And like I said, the restaurant there in the hotel was closed. Everything close by the hotel was closed. Mark walked in the snow by himself to that gas station and went and got food for my mom and dad and himself, for all of them, and walked back to the hotel. And he told them, Henry, you gotta stay here and get warm. I got this. And he walked in that snow. In the blizzard, it was still snowing, it was a blizzard. And he walked by himself to go and get food for my mom and dad and brought it back to the hotel. So that's why he believed in BB's, and that's why he brought all his friends here to play here. and to make sure that this place continue to go. Yeah. So, you know, the 90s also was another scary point because before we got halfway past through the 90s, he was presented with he was one of the very first, along with Dick Gregory and a handful of other artists or influential St. Louis people, the very first class of the St. Louis Walk of Fame in the Delmore Loop, the stars that you see down in the Delmore Loop. He was in the very first class with Dick Gregory and a whole lot of other guys. And he accepted that with my mom, and that was the first point that let him know that he was like, man, I made it. I've arrived. And that was in May of '95. And through that summer, Dad would continue to play, and he would be enamored with me and all the things that I would do because, like, I was mesmerizing to him. I was mesmerizing to him because we would be in the car in my early ages, and we would ride by, and I started naming off stuff, and he would tell everybody the story. He'd be in the back seat, and he'd be naming off. He said Walgreens, McDonald's. Like, I was in the back seat naming off all this stuff, and I had to be like 3 years old. And he ran back to the house and got my mom. He says, Fernand, you gotta come. This boy reading. This boy naming off stuff. And she was like, nah, he ain't reading, Henry. He ain't reading. He probably just seen it on TV. So, we got in the car, took mom for a ride. I'm in the back seat, and I'm doing it again. McDonald's, White Castle, Walgreens, and she couldn't believe it. So they would put all these computers and stuff in front of me from that day forward because I was great with technology. And I would do all these enamoring things, and it came up until the point where in '95, in September, he lost that one person that in that whole world that we were talking about earlier, and that was my mom. September of '95, I'll never forget that. I was at school and I came home and it was everybody in the living room, and I'm like, what is going on? I don't know what I thought at that time, but I remember seeing a lot of people. And when I got off the bus, one of the neighbors was eating some chicken. I mean, Miss Linda, she was walking, eating some church's chicken. I swear, she loved church's chicken. Miss Linda was awesome. And she got out the car, I'm on this side of the street, she's walking from her house, and we met to the front door, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. And when I got in the house, that's when my dad told me, my dad was the first one to grab me, and told me, yeah, your mom had passed away. That was a turning point not only for myself, but for Dad, because she held everything together. She held everything, like any mother patriarchs of any family, of course, they held things together, but Mom was harder than a brick, but she was like glue. She kept everything together, and we lost. Not only did I lose that, but he was starting back on his own again, something that he hadn't been by himself in probably over 40, 50 years, in that house, especially on Theodore. So we're going to stop for a minute, and we're going to reflect on that point with a song that everyone knows my mom and dad is. If you say Henry and Townsend, you automatically, this is the first song you think of, and it's Tears Come Rolling Down.
Well, I woke up this morning, 9:30. She packed all the clothes that she didn't borrow mine, and my tears come rolling down. And my tears come rolling down. Well, now when she kissed me goodnight, oh man, I know that meant goodbye. I looked at my baby as I held her hand. So are you leaving me for no cry like a newborn child, and my tears come rolling down. And my tears come rolling down. Well, now when she kissed me goodnight, man, I knew she meant goodbye. Looked at my baby as I held her hand. Said, are you leaving me for another man? And my tears come rolling down. My tears come rolling down. Well, now she kissed me goodnight, and I know that that meant goodbye. Yeah, you know, that's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it is. It's one of my favorites too. And it's because of the connection with mom and dad. You know, it's you can feel it. Why Do We Love Each Other So, which is another one of my favorites and a classic that I probably haven't heard in a long time. But it's a beautiful. Good job. So you know, that's why I feel like that song played a very big part in that time frame of what was going on and what Dad was going through, especially after Mom left. But to reflect on Mom, it's like that is what was my foundation in figuring out what a man and what a woman is supposed to be and supposed to do. Like I said, I was blessed to have them, so to be able to have both my parents until Father God takes them both away is in itself a phenomenal feat, especially in this day and age. So with that said, you know, it helped me understand what things should be and what, you know, with the man and the woman, the good times and the bad times. Because, I mean, Dad and Mom used to fight and argue, man, they can go at it, but then they'd be right back cool the next day. Like Dad used to always say, you never go to sleep mad, you never go to sleep angry. He said, two things gonna happen. One, you're gonna have a badass dream and you're gonna be angry as hell. And two, you gonna wake up and you're gonna be mad for something you don't even remember what happened. So, but that is what made me believe in the foundations of a man and a woman in marriage. I'm luckily about to get married on Wednesday. So things are rushing next.
You ready to tie it now?
Jump the broom. Ball and chain. Turn in the VIP card.
Mine now.
No more bottoms up. But she gave me the greatest gift, like I was my dad. She gave my beautiful daughter Kalia. Kalia's in her Tucson somewhere. They selling CDs and shirts. That's what they're doing. I don't know if I said they're in there somewhere. But they're down in front. You can meet them. Grab some shirts or something. You can meet them up front. Give Kendra congratulations that she's about to be stuck with me forever and ever. It's hard to be with a Townsend. It is hard. Mule Junior. So, but with that said, you know, after 95, you know, we're going into the being by itself, and it's just me and Dad, and that's when I learned how to cook. Kendra can tell you this, I cook very well, first and foremost. I do a really good job, but I learned it. I watched Mom, I don't know how and how they have, and I used to have cooking shows with my sister. We used to have fake cooking shows and have like a little tape recorder, and we'll be talking about making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and stuff. It was crazy. Like, we had these huge imaginations. But after Mom passed, it was up to me to do these things, and I learned how to cook burgers and chicken and stuff. I remember my best friend Tyrell came on one time. He used to live right down the street from me.
Hold on, burgers.
Burgers.
Burgers. I thought you said burgers. I was about to say,
chicken wings is
what
burgers.
level of burger was you cooking this like?
Chicken wings.
All right.
I'm gonna say though, I remember when Tyrell, my best friend I grew up with, he was living right down the street. And he came down one day and I was making, I think it was either burgers or wings, and he was sitting at the table. We had to be like we had to be like maybe 11. And he looked at me, he said, what the hell you doing cooking? I'm like, what the hell you doing to cook a burger? I said, what the hell? What? Yeah, so, well, that got pushed on me, and then that's how I learned how to cook cream of wheat and egg beaters Like, those were institutions, my dad. And I think that you should eat cream of wheat. Make sure you guys eat a bowl of cream of wheat at least like a week. Because I think that has something to do with him making it to 96. Because I thought the stuff was gross. I'm like, who would eat cream of wheat? Who would eat egg beaters? But it's a reason why it's $8 a box. They don't want you to eat it. They don't want you to buy it. Because if you look and you see $7, I ain't buying that. $7 for some cream of wheat. They don't want you to eat it. Because it's good for you. So eat some cream of wheat. Egg beaters are great too. I don't get it. But that was his fiber. Like, you couldn't give him no Ensure, don't give him that crap. He wouldn't eat it. Cream of wheat and goulash. He would make like different goulashes. He'd put corn and gravy and the cream of wheat and mix it together. All types of stuff. Chicken, turkey. It was crazy. But those are the things, he knew how to survive. And that's one of the things about this whole show and about this story is how to survive and how to maintain through countless changes, through countless times, how to maintain and be a survivor, be a craftsman. After that point, but we get into another scary point, which is the 2000s and the millennium. How do you be going on 90 and being a musician and survive going to Y2K in the 2000s, 2001? That's something that he never feared, I would say that. From the outside looking in, like from that point I had already got in. I got past my troubles because that's another point. Dad was very strict, and he was not very strict, but he was strict about his principles and about how to raise a son, raise a man at that point. And one of his two biggest things was be a man of your word, be on time, and don't steal. Be a man of your word, be on time, don't steal. Early in life, I violated one of these rules and I stole because I did not get it, but at the same time, I think I was old enough to get it. And I used to my dad did not believe in debit or credit cards, and when they very first came out and got really popular, my dad got a debit card, and I seen all these magnificent things that I wanted to get, and I was in charge of the stuff, so I'm like, swipe, 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 getting the stuff that he needed, but swipe for me too, swipe. And I learned from that lesson, like you said, don't steal. You can always get what you ask for, and if you don't get what you ask for, there's ways to figure out how to get it. Not ways to get it, it's ways to figure out how to get it. How to make it happen. And I spent like a day in jail for doing that. I remember, we got down there when he found out, and we drove straight to the police station. Matter of fact, I was driving him around. We had this big van, and everybody remembered there was a wheelchair thing in the back, because Dad used to be in a wheelchair all the time, just moving and grooving. And the thing would pick up the wheelchair and put it in the back. And I remember when he found out, we left the bank, he ain't say a word. He like, drive here, son. And I drove myself to the police station, not knowing where I was going. I drove myself to the police station. I was like, what the hell are we doing there? In my mind, I'm doing, what the hell are we doing there? He can't know. He can't know. It's not possible he knows. And he knew. And I spent a day in jail. Like, I remember that. And he wasn't going to let nothing happen to me. But he wanted me to understand that there are repercussions and there are things, every action, there's a reaction. And when you do those things, and you steal or you do anything that violates any person's, any man's word of trust, whatever their guidelines of trust is for you, that's going to be the repercussion. You have to deal with your repercussion. And that was my repercussion. And I'm grateful for that, because that lets you know there's nothing's given to you. You have to go out here and get everything that you want. You have to go out here and fight for it. No matter who your father is, no matter who your mother is, no matter who you are, it's good to be able to understand that you have to go out here and you got to bust your knuckles and bust your ass to get whatever you want. And nothing's given to you. So that was a very good lesson for me. That got me to that point. But it also got me past the point of understanding and doing the business over again and learning selling CDs and selling merchandise with Dad and going all on the road and the festivals and stuff. And in 2000, he started with a DVD. Warner Brothers came to the house, blocked the whole street off, had trailers down the street just to record him to talk, just to be able to get him on film and talking. And I didn't get it. A lot of people know that I used some of his tapes that he recorded, not the Warner Brothers, with some of the tapes that he had at the house. And I used to record Monday Night Raw. I'm like, yeah, this ain't important. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, you know, like, I would record this. And he'd come back and he'd be like, you watching these people in tights fly all over the ring over my music? And I didn't get it then, because I'm like, well, they can hear you because you're going to be back out there. Not knowing that every day was a gift with him. Every day that he was alive was a gift, not only for me, but for the music industry alone. It was a gift every single day that we had him left. So we going as a 90-year-old man into an age where everything's turning digital, and they talking about Facebooking and YouTube and MySpace, and he didn't get into any of that stuff. Nothing. I didn't even think about making him a page until like later on or something. But those are the eras that you feel like you had to transition, had to fix yourself. And that also would be a period where he was getting ready to become full circle, because we're in the 2000s, a long way from the 1909 when he was born, and a farther way from jumping on that train at age of 9 and taking it on his own and embarking on being a man at 9 years old. So at this point, we want to see where it's come full circle in 2006. This will be before everything was cemented. In 2006, he returned to the one place that he had never been back to from back in 1929, which was a Grafton, where he made his very first record. He went back to Grafton, Wisconsin for the very first time since 1929, as to be one of the very first inductees in the Paramount Rockers Hall of Fame, but also to play for the Paramount Blues Festival. First time since 1929. Never been back since he made that record with Rolled Up There Roosevelt Sykes. That day, that weekend, would be the turning point, because not only was it the first time that he came back, but it would also be the same place where he would make his final bow. He would return to the very place and pass away in the very place, in Grafton, Wisconsin in September 24th, 2006. And I call it full circle because I think that's something that can't be written. There's something that's like in a movie script where you go back to the very place where you started everything and you say, I'm done. I'm ready to lay it all down. I'm done. And he never got a chance to play that day. He never got a chance to play that festival, but he made it back there. He got his award, and things turned for the worse. I remember he was in the hospital room, and I would tell him, like, all the other times he would be in the hospital, like he would go to the hospital here in St. Louis, and I used to just think he just wanted to go and just be taken care of. Because I was like, you're nothing wrong with you, you're okay. But because he'd come right back home. And I told him that exact same thing in Grafton, not knowing that he would not come back home. So what I feel out of all of these things is that when you truly believe in something, and you make it your art, and you make it your craft, and you make it your everything, no matter what it is, if you truly believe in it, it will take you all over the world. It would take you to places that you would probably never even believe you would go. And that's what happened with Dad. He started out as, I don't know how you could write a better story of saying, I'm gonna run away from home, and this is what happens at the end of everything. And we were here on Grammy night, and I got the Grammy out that Dad got in 2008, and it's a testament. I look at that Grammy and it's a testament, not because of how much prestige it holds in the music industry, and not because of how everyone uses it as a measuring stick, but I use it because when my father started his career, a Grammy never existed. It was unheard of. When my father started his career, there was very few awards I think even was out here. And the Grammy definitely wasn't one of them. And now they use the Grammy in the music industry as the holy grail. Like when you win a Grammy, you've made it, you've done it. He didn't need that. He got it for the fact of after for everything that he did. And it's magnificent that you are given something that prestigious that wasn't around when you started. And that brings it to the point of where you have to end it somewhere And everyone has an idea of where they want their story or where they want their life to end. Some people say, I want to be on the beach when I die. Some people say, I want to die slow. I want to die in my sleep. Some people have all these different ideas of how they want their life to end out. And for Dad, I don't think he never really had where he wanted to end out. He said, I know he used to say always that I want to see it to the point where you don't need me no more. Talking about me, he used to always say, I want to get to a point where you don't need me no more, son. If you don't need me, I feel like I'm good. I don't need it. I've completed my mission. But at the same time, you know, he performed all the way up until the day that he died. He never thought about retiring. At 96 years old, you know, he kept this thing going, and this is where he chose to lay it down, where he began. So we're going to start this. One of his very most favorite songs, and it was on 88 Blues. And I wish John May was here. Everyone knows how awesome John May is. John May loves my father like a father. And I know John's not with us tonight, he's out of town, but everyone in my family knows John May. Tall, lanky, with the glasses. Hey man, ponytail, beret. Hey man. Yeah man. So, you know, and John loved my father, man. John played bass on this song, along with Scott Schumann, and this is one of his favorite songs. And this, I remember hearing him say, well, I made this song because I know eventually, this song was made in '98, and I remember him saying, well, I know eventually it's going to have to end sooner or later. This can't go on forever, so it's going to have to end somewhere. And I thought about that, and I said, I'm going to make a song about how I feel that sooner or later it's going to have to end somewhere. So what we're going to do, it got to end somewhere.
Well, I told you, baby, well, it goes without a saying. Well, the love I have for you want to grow day by day. Well, now you love best I ever seen. Girl, I want you forever, honey, to be my queen. Well, now you're going around, woman, like you don't care. I want you to know now, baby, it's got to end somewhere. It's got to end somewhere. Something, woman, listen close. Way that I love you, you may never know. Well, don't you act, woman, like you don't care. 'Cause I want you to know, babe, it's got to end somewhere. It's got to end somewhere. Old woman, day by day. Will I have fear tomorrow? More yesterday. But when you see me, oh, why don't you care? 'Cause one of these old days It's got to end somewhere. It's got to end somewhere.
So with that point, that's why I say that song, I feel like after hearing it, definitely, it simplifies exactly what the full circle means. And it means even more when he prophesizes this almost close to 10 years before it actually came into fruition. But with that said, that is what the genius is all about, how to sustain yourself through countless times and trials and through different challenges, even if the challenges is time itself. Like I said, we're going into the new millennium. It's a challenge that I even have. When I did this interview this past week for the Postal Dispatch with Kevin Johnson, who did an awesome job out of just making a conversation into an article, because we just sat inside the St. Louis Bread Company in Soulard and just had lunch and just was talking. And when I read it back to myself when it came out Friday, I was like, man, this dude is cold at what he does. But one of the things I remember saying to him is like, he asked me, how does it feel being your father's torch bearer? And I said, it's exhausting. And I said, I mean it in the best way possible. And the reason I say that is because I found it very exhausting how to keep this flame ignited. Through all of my, not through all the things that I have and all the tools and utilities I have, but to me, I feel like it's not only an honor and a privilege, but it's a blessing. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to have a purpose. It's like being Paul McCartney's son and carrying on his legacy. It's awesome to be able to have that, but it's very hard, and it gets exhausting sometimes, because you want to make sure you not only do you do the very best possible in order to keep their flame going, but you want to make sure you honor the tradition. You don't want to change anything. You want to make sure that you honor the tradition that is. And that's what not only that I'm about, but that's also what Marquise is the biggest puzzle piece, because he's all about, if you listen to every tune, you can hear the tradition of blues bleeding out. It's another man that I hear like that all the time on Fridays when I work down here. I work here Friday and Saturday nights. And I still serve bus tables because that's what I love to do, especially inside of this place. Like, whatever I can do to keep this place going, I'm all for it. And on Friday nights, Leroy Pearson, he's in here somewhere too. Leroy's known me since I was a kid too. And far beyond Marquise, there's nobody that knows not only my dad, but Delta Blues like Leroy Pearson. No one knows his music like Leroy Pearson. And he's a godsend, and I want to give him some appreciation too, because he keeps this genre alive every Friday night, playing up here by himself, or either when it's with Jackson and a drummer. He does this thing, and he keeps that Delta Blues tradition alive. So I thank you, Leroy, for being that and continuing to do that for us. But also, all these things continue to do is make me a better father. Because like I said, I have a daughter. She's in here somewhere. You know what? I see her. She's been begging me, can I get on stage, Dad? Can she get on stage? Can I say hi? So Kalia is going to come up, and she's going to say hi to everybody. So come here, Kalia. Come over here with Daddy. Oh, sugar pie. Anything else you want to say to the beautiful people while you're up here, baby? Well, I think it's just it's momentous enough that she's up here, and she knew that I was going to make sure it happened. So I want everyone to see the third generation, my torch bearer, Kalia Townsend. Okay, I thought she was scared, but she wants to stay up here with me, so we're going to finish off the show with Kalia. But that's what I mean. That's what I'm blessed to have her, and the reason that I am so invested in her is because the same way that my father was invested in me. And and he showed me what it is to be a parent and be a father and to make sure that you lead them down the way of absolute success by any means necessary. So love your children, groom them for whatever they want to do, and if you can, put an instrument in their hand, because no one can take an instrument away from your child. She got a piano, a harmonica, it's all type of noise making things. So I just try to take what you want and just and leave what you don't. Take what you want and leave what you don't. So that's also what this show is about. My daughter came to me and she knows that February is not only American Heart Association Month and Heart Disease Month, but it's Black History Month. And that's what she's going into school right now, is Black History Month, of course. And she enamored me by going on Google on her mom's phone and Googling who is Henry Townsend. She always knew that her grandpa was a blues, played music and played guitar and piano. She could tell you all of that. She could tell you that he was a blues musician and everybody loved him. She'll tell you that too. But she never really knew. Like, she listened to his music when she was a baby. I used to play it for her a lot. So she knew the basis, but never knew the foundation. And it enamored me to see her go on Google and type in who is Henry Townsend, and she went in and she was trying to learn herself. And then I found out later on from my mom, and I asked, I said, so what did you learn? And she was like, well, he played for a really long time, and there's a lot of pictures. And so those things is what made this show also come to fruition, because I want not only her, but the youth movement to understand how rich of a history that we have, not only with my father, but with blues and in the city. We have a really rich history, and if it takes more than me and Marquise to pick up, even if you gotta say money, if you gotta use the word money, I'll do that, because there's a lot of money also in this rich history. It's like the show Gold Rush. If you dig deep enough, you'll find gold. If you dig deep enough in blues, you will find gold. This music goes back over past 100 years, and it's probably one of the oldest it definitely is one of the oldest American American music in our country. So it means more than anything to be able to share this with the youth and to make sure that they know what's around them, let them know who they're walking over when they walk down the Delmore Loop and they're with their friends and stuff, walking on stores. Have them know exactly who those stores are and what they represent. And that also knows that there's more geniuses than just my dad. We had Benny Smith, we had Oliver Sane, we had Tommy Bankhead. So this show opens up Pandora's box for us to present a whole new movement and a whole new following behind something that's as rich as it is. So I hope and I pray, and I'm pretty sure of, thanks to seeing all these heads and all these bodies and all these souls and all these spirits in here tonight, that we'll be back here again to celebrate more and more geniuses over and over again. I definitely have plans to definitely make sure that we're back here again, and not only celebrating my father, but celebrating those people like Oliver Sane that started the careers of Ike and Tina Turner. People don't know that, but Oliver Sane started those guys. They started Ike and Tina. Ike and Tina played for Oliver Sane's Soul Review back in the 70s, before everyone even knew who Ike and Tina were. And Oliver Sane played each and every Thursday night in this place until he passed away as well. So this city has a lot of rich history. You just gotta dig deep enough. So keep your mind open. Always seek out to soak up as much as you can. You can never learn enough. Because I learned that. I used to tell Dad, I gotta teach you something. You can't teach me shit, son. There's nothing new under the sun. You tell me all the time, there's nothing new under the sun. And it took me a long time to realize that there's nothing new under the sun. They may modify and change things over, but there's always something that was the basis of it that was already here. So, make sure that you guys understand how important it is, not only for you guys to remember what we have, but to teach our kids and our nephews and our nieces what they are living around and what they have around them. Because if you're teaching those things, they might pick those things up and make you a millionaire. It's not all about the basketball and the football. Sometimes it takes a guitar and a piano too to make them a #1 draft pick. So with that said, I told you I was going to get you guys out of here for Walking Dead, and I promised that I was going to get you guys out of here for Walking Dead. Or to catch the end of the Grammys, because I know Beyonce or somebody going to kill it. So we going to slow it down, and before we leave, we going to jam out. Where's Frank Bauer at? Frank Bauer, do you got that axe of yours, dog? Why don't you grab that axe of yours, dog? Because everyone knows how much I love alto sax. I want to end this off on the best note possible. Not only for my dad, but I want to end it out because of Marquise, the other piece, my other brotherhood, who's celebrating not only his birthday today, 24 years old, and he started playing when he was 6 or 5, and started playing in this place when he was like 13, and he's 24 years old tonight.
Long way.
The other important part of this story is I said this a couple of times, I'm going to etch it in one more time before you leave, is to find something that you're good at, because it can take you anywhere. And I say it because not only is this his birthday tonight, I owe this man so much. I love him so much because he's spending this birthday with us here to do this show together, and he's jumping on a plane to go to Brazil for 3 weeks to do not only what he loves doing, but to use the craft that he picked up and do it with, and to make money and to be happy. It's not about, I say the money part, because we need money to survive, but it also is about happiness, because you will not truly be successful in anything you do unless you're happy doing it. And this man loves the blues. Like I said, he's a student of the blues, and he's going to Brazil for 3 weeks. They're flying him to Brazil to do what he loves to do. That's what this show is about. My dad jumped on that train, and I don't think he started out saying, I'm going to jump on this train and go be a bluesman, but he took a chance, a phenomenal chance, a chance that changed his whole life, his whole career, his whole life, some that's destiny. So, make sure you figure it, and if you're past your prime and you found your craft, make sure that your daughter, your granddaughter, your grandson, your son, your niece, your nephew, push them to find a craft that's going to make them successful and that they'll never lose for the rest of their lives. Also, before we leave out, I think Frank is getting close. I'm just trying to buy some time so I can bring my brother. We're going to do a nice jam. We're saying things out the way that we should send it out, the right way. I want to thank every single body and every single soul that came here, not only to see this show, but I know a lot of you guys came to support me and Marquise. Mainly, this is the first time a lot of you guys have ever seen me up here. So a lot of you guys came out to support me, and it means more than anything to me. I truly love everybody that's in here. I love you with all my heart, because this was a chance. Jeremy Siegel Moss, another brother from another mother that I love, I think he's on his way back from New Orleans, Bottoms Up Blues Band. I don't know if he's here yet, but I know he's coming on his way back. But he pushed me. I talked about doing this show for like 5 years, and he pushed me in November to do this show and said, you do this show, you get people in here, I'm going to make sure that it won't be the last show that you do. And because he pushed me, this is what happened. So I thank Jeremy, and I know a lot of people are going to tell Jeremy that I told this story because he told me not to say it. He's like, it's not about me, dude. You know how Jeremy talks. It's not about me, dude. It's about you. It's about the music. It's about your dad. It's about the legacy. So it is. It is about you, because if it wasn't for you pushing me over that line and saying do it, if you get people in here, I'll make sure it's not your last show. And you guys came out and you supported, and I love you guys for not only doing it for me, but doing it for my dad, doing it for the love that you have for Henry Townsend. So thank you guys. My beautiful fiance is back there in the back. If not Kendra and Angela, somebody's back there, and they're selling these beautiful shirts that I want to also, Brian Curran, beautiful wife Sarah and Art Form did. I want to stand. I know Marquise got on. Kevin got one on at the bar. She did an awesome job. I just gave her some words and some thoughts, and she had a couple of pictures that they saved back from the archives, and she did everything else. I did not design the shirt. I just told her I wanted to have a shirt for the event, and she said, "What do you want to say?" I just said, "Hey, Dad, and Genius, reflect the show." And she said, "Okay, well, I'll figure something out." And she made these beautiful shirts. And it's the very first shirt that's ever been done since my dad's last birthday party in 2005 before he passed away. There hasn't been a Henry Townsend shirt since. So I'm proud of that. And you can get them back there in the back. You can buy those. The Grammy CDs back there too. You can buy those. So and it'll go towards making a beautiful second show of Reflections of a Genius with Tommy Bankhead, or Reflection of a Genius with Benny, whatever me and Marquise figure out who we're going to put the spotlight on next. That's what this is benefiting is, making more shows and keeping them going. And with Jeremy helping us out, I'm sure that we'll make it happen. So thank you guys. We'll be back again, I know it. I want Marquise to give a birthday jam and ode to my father like never before. Frank is gonna come out and he's gonna blow not only in honor of my dad, not in honor of the beautiful out sax that I love, but because I asked him to give us something that we'll never forget. So, with that said, Frank Bauer.
We got to say goodbye to our mother Frances.
Yeah, I do want to say that Frances Johnson is in the house, the beautiful wife of the late great Johnny Johnson. And I've known Frances my entire life since I was a pea pie, and she stayed on my butt like white on rice. She was my second mother, and she's pushed nothing but success, and she was there for my father too. And anything my dad needed, she was there. So I'm so glad that she came, and it means the world to be able to see your face and see you here. So thank you, love. Thank you. Let's end it out on ooh, we got pie. So wait a minute. No. You ain't gonna love and happiness. Let's sing happy birthday to Marquise. He blew it out already. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marquise. Happy birthday to you.
Yes. Now a little bit of that love and happiness.
Thank you, guys.
Someone's on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning. Hold on, let me start that over, Alonzo.
Hold on. I seen who that, I don't know who that was that brought these beers up here, but we didn't drink them during the show, but I see it's a good chance.
Something's going wrong. Someone's on the phone, 3 o'clock in the morning, talking about how she can make it right. Hey, happiness is when you really feel good about someone. There's lots of wrong. With somebody saying, oh baby, love and happiness, love and happiness. again, brother. I got to say, love and happiness. Love and happiness. You be good to me, and I'll be good to you. We'll stay together. See each other all the way we fit to be. Oh, baby. Love me. Love me. Y'all know about that love and happiness? Say yeah. Well, y'all don't sound like you really know about the love and happiness. If you know about it, say yeah. Now I'm going to do this last one because it's my birthday and we in here already. So it ain't no sense of going anywhere. I'm going to make a song up like Henry Townsend would, so this will be deserved. In the morning now, people, I'll be on my way. Well, in the morning now, people, I'll be on my way. They say the blues back to sleep. I was raised in the jungle with the monkey, tigers, and bears. Out of all them suckers, I'm the baddest one there. Cause I'm bad. Cause I'm bad. Well, I'm bad, I'm bad. I'm like an earthquake on the land. I went over to Europe. I said I had to meet the queen. I walked my lips around and she said that I was a king. Cause I'm bad. Y'all, I said I'm bad. Well, I'm bad, I'm bad. I'm like an earthquake on the land. When you see me, baby, with my guitar hanging down, grab your man and head on downtown. Cause y'all, I'm the one. I'm the one, I'm the one. I'm the one who was taught by the one. Well, I've been scrambling all night long. I just been asking my woman, come on home. Well, that's all right. That's all right. Well, now tell me, baby, that's all right. Blow a little for me, friend. Alonzo Townsend.
Marquise Knox. Frank Bauer. Henry Townsend. And this is a cheers to you guys. This is a cheers to a beautiful night. This is topmost and everything. Cheers to a genius. Thank you guys.